What I wanted to show you today, really, this is our flagship product, very new, not even released officially yet. I'm very lucky to have one. This plays very much to the Industry 4 theme that we've been talking about this morning, about self-optimization and self-adaptation. Pneumatic systems typically have been very fixed. You would buy a valve such as this with a very fixed function. You would then tube it and you would get a certain output as a result of what you've purchased. The idea of this is that we are now changing the functionality of the valves using software. So we have what we call motion apps that control the functionality of these valves. So I can drive this as a standard valve in the same way that we've been able to do for decades, but now we can actually change more in terms of how we use this. The functions of the valves we can constantly change throughout the machine cycle as well as we need to. If you take a look at the screen, what we can see is I've got my 4 valves. I'm just plugged in through the standard Ethernet port just into the web interface on this. Normally this would be controlled by a PLC or machine controller, but I'm just driving it directly. We have, as I say, a range of what we call motion apps that perform different functions. The one I've got sampled here, because it's very clear and easy for everyone to see, is what we call presetting of travel time. Normally with pneumatics, if you want to adjust the speed of a cylinder, you would change the flow controls, which works fine unless somebody comes along and fiddles with your main pressure, or if you get a leak in the system. In this case, what I've told it is that I would like it to advance and take 0.6 of a second to do that, and retract in 0.3 of a second. If you look just here on the screen, you can see the actual travel time that the system is recording. So if I go into a run, if I advance now, so I've asked for 0.6 seconds, it's done it in 0.566. And retract at 0.3, it's done it in 0.4. Now, I just changed something on there, so let me do it a couple of times. It actually learns from its previous positions, and you can see that we're getting closer to the actual travel times that I've preset. So now when I'm advancing, I'm just under 0.6. When I retract, it's 307 milliseconds. Inevitably, as the machine gets older and starts to wear, we get leaks. I'll back it off a little bit just so that we've got a chance. Okay, so I've got a leak on there, which is on the retract. When I actually tell it to retract now, it makes absolutely no difference to the travel time. The system itself is measuring the flow and the pressures throughout, and it can detect that there's actually a leak on this and that we require more flow to achieve the pressure time, cycle time. So what we've done now is we've compensated for a variation due to a leak. I could change the pressure, it will compensate for the pressure as well. Inevitably we get to a point where it can't compensate anymore. One of the apps we have is a leakage detection app. So what I can do when the machine's brand new is I can run a reference move on it, and what it'll do is it'll analyse the cylinder and it'll say, under normal circumstances, this is my typical leakage rate on this particular valve. What I can then do as part of my maintenance schedule, or maybe even at a shift changeover, you can put it into your machine control to say a shift changeover, or if you change a job, format change, whatever it may be, automatically run a diagnostic test. What it'll do then is compare the original one to the diagnostic one, and we can flag that up as an alarm then to the system. So we've identified in this case that there's a leak, and we've flagged that back to our main control, but equally we've compensated for that leak, which means from a production point of view, we're maintaining productivity. We're not losing production efficiency because we've got leaks in the system. We can also change the functions of the valves all over the place. So all 4 valves are identical. On the second one, what I've got is a proportional pressure control rather than a straight control, and that allows me to
you have my slides.
proportional pressure control using exactly the same hardware that I've just used in more of a standard direct control mode. So you can see by changing the software functionality at different times of part of the machine cycle, you get a lot more flexibility within your machine control. Thank you very much.